If you notice, we are skipping chapter 6.3. If you want to know how to do these same kind of problems with this other method, ask one of the teachers and we'll be glad to show you. Now, one of your most important formulas is amount over base equals percent over 100. This is called a proportionality, which is what we learned about in 6.2. Now, with my math lab, they want A over B equals P over 100. Now, if the amount is missing, they want you to put an A. If the base is missing, they want you to put a B. If the percent is missing, they want you to put a P. So, a lot of times what they're wanting is to make sure you've set up your proportionality correctly. Now, if you're using chapter 6.3, of means times, is means equals, and the word what gets the variable. Now, using this method right here, your percent word problems will be set up either as amount is percent of base, or percent of base is the amount. These are the two basic forms of percent word problems. By the way, this is important information here, so make sure you pay attention. You see, these setups dictate how you set up your proportion. Note, your book gives more examples than what I'm showing here. Now, pick out important information, then put into a proportion and solve. 12%, so the percent came first. So using this setup, percent of base is amount. So our percent is 12%. Our amount, so percent of base. Base is the thing that we don't have. My math lab wants you to put a B in place of base. And then amount is 47. So now we set it up. 47 over your base equals 12 over 100. Then we cross multiply. And remember, in 6.2 we used this shortcut. So your base is 47 times 100 divided by 12, and we're going to use Good Buddy calculator. 47 times 100 divide 12, and what we get is, yikes, 391.6 repeated. So they're probably going to ask you to round it off somewhere or to the nearest whole number when it's an answer like this. And it just depends on what your instructions are. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip on to number 2. Solve. So 101 is what percent of 200? So we're not starting with the percent, so amount is percent of base. So our amount is 101. Our percent, we don't know, and the base is 200. So amount over base equals percent over 100, and percent is 101 times 100 divided by 200, and we use Good Buddy calculator. 101 times 100 divide 200, and we get 50.5, and when it's P equals, We have to put the percent sign in there. Now, we're not starting with percent, so amount is percent of base. So our amount is an unknown. Our percent is 90. And our base is 45. So A over 45 equals 90 over, and I hate it when they put A's and 90s or 9's together, over 100. Cross multiply on the 2 that we have, divide by the 1 that's by itself. So 45 times 90, divide by 100, and our A is 40.5. And notice it's an amount, so we don't have to worry about putting a percent sign on it. Now, number 4. Amount is percent of base. So amount is 238. We don't have our base. Equals 40 over 100. Multiply by these two, divide by this one. So 238 times 100, divide by 40. And B is 595. Okay? If you want to check, something you can do is take 595 times, and 40% as a decimal is 0.4, and it does give us the 238 from our problem. And that kind of gives you a little idea of how chapter 6.3 works through stuff. Now, 150%. Percent came first, so percent of base is amount. So we do have the amount. We have our percent. What we don't have is our base. Multiply those two, divide by this one, and 30 times 100 divide by 150 gives us 20. 20.8 is 40% of what number? So I'm gonna shortcut this. Amount is percent of base, so 20.8 over base equals 40 over 100. Multiply by these two, divide by this one. So 20.8 times 100 divide 40 gives us 52. Amount is percent of base. Amount, base, and we don't have the percent, over 100. Times by these, divide by this. So 504 times 100, divide by 360, and that gives us a percent of 140%. Now, if your amount is bigger than your base, just like here, your amount is bigger than your base, then your percent is more than 100%. I got over 100% here. Now, if your amount is smaller than your base, then your percent is smaller than 100. So where is another one where we had the amount and the base? Okay, right here, number 2. 101 is smaller than 200. And as you see, our percent ended up smaller than 100. So that's kind of an idea of how you can check to see if you're at least in the ballpark. And also, 100 is exactly half of 200, so this is a little over half, so this had better be a little over 50%. Now, of the 2,593 nursing schools, 2178 had an increase in enrollment. What percent is this? Well, now it's not set up exactly like these word problems. Now we have to figure it out. Of this many nursing schools, so that's the beginning, this many had an increase in enrollment. Of the guess what? This is not what we need to do. Of this many nursing schools, this many had an increase in enrollment. So it's asking what the percent increase is. So the way we find the percent increase is we take the new, we take the 2178 divided by how many there are total. What percent of these had an increase in enrollment? So we take, and then once we've done that, we times this by 100%. So this is done a little bit differently than how we did the other problems. So 2178 divided by 2593, then times by 100. And that's approximately 84%. It ended up 83.99537,216 stuff. So on this one I would round off to approximately 84%. And as you can see, you know, sometimes I make mistakes. So if I make mistakes, and I've been at this for almost 20 years, then guess what? You're going to make mistakes too, and you just got to deal with it and learn how to laugh at yourself and go on. So, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.